Hi, let's learn how primitive people made clay pots. Thousands of years ago, people didn't have refrigerators or cans to store their food and water. They didn't even have glass jars. But they did have clay. They would take clay from riverbanks where it was nice and sticky. Then they would take it back to their settlement and clean it with their hands, removing rocks and other debris. This process took a lot of time and effort, but the result was worth it. They would use the clay to make pots for cooking and storing food and water. Sometimes they would use a technique called coiling, where they roll out long pieces of clay and then coil them up to form a pot. Other times they would use a technique called pinching, where they start with a ball of clay and then pinch it into a pot. Once the pot was shaped, they would leave it out in the sun to dry for several days. This made the clay harder, but it also made it more brittle, so they had to be very careful not to break it. After the pots were dry, they would put them in an open fire to bake. This would harden the clay and make it waterproof. The firing process also changed the color of the clay, making it a reddish-brown. Some pots had simple designs, while others had more elaborate patterns. These designs were often made by pressing sticks or their fingers into the clay. This created raised lines and dots that decorated the surface of the pot. Clay pottery was more than just a practical tool. It was a work of art. Each pot was unique and beautiful in its own way. It took a lot of skill and patience to make pottery, but the end result was worth it. People could make all kinds of different shapes and sizes of pots. They could make small pots for holding spices or large pots for cooking meals. They could even make pots with lids. Making clay pots was a major step in human innovation. It allowed our ancestors to cook more types of food and store more water and other goods. It also gave them more time to do other things because they didn't have to spend as much time gathering food and water.